I think we were talking about in the beginning as well around, this instant gratification world that we're living in. Do you, and Paul, I'll ask you about this as well. Do you expect real-time payments will have an impact on employee satisfaction?
It's going to be an item that's going to need to be managed. So there's a couple of little things that I'm going to go off and sort of and get people to start thinking about when they're processing payroll. So for the most part, the real-time payments with super is going to go off and get it to the super fund, and the super funds will still take a day or two. Depending on the super fund, it might take a little longer to make it appear in someone's super account. But payment of wages through the new payments platform is going to go off and make your payroll processes really transparent. Okay, if you don't run payroll until 6 o'clock, okay, and do it really, really late, your employees are going to know. Okay, if you run payroll at 10 o'clock every morning, okay, and you push the button and the funds are in their bank account at 10 o'clock every morning, okay, but then 1 week when you run payroll, you've got a whole heap of other stuff floating around and you don't get to it until late, okay, that type of experience for an employee may go and impact their satisfaction. So I would go off and recommend that people who are running payroll get a standard time that they're going to go off and push the button and have the funds go off and move, regardless of them doing the rest of their payroll processes, so that their employees don't get a false expectation that the funds are going to be in at a specific time during the day. I also think that it's going to go off and impact some other things around the payroll processing for businesses. So technically, under the Fair Work guidelines, okay, you've got a date that you need to pay people. The real-time payments platform could theoretically mean a business pays at 11:59 p.m. and they meet their criteria because the money's going to be there at that time. I wouldn't recommend employers do that because you'll really annoy your employees. But there are some businesses that are processing their pay and putting the ABA file into the bank 3 days before. And I know that there's some fairly large businesses with multi-million-dollar payrolls, okay, that are doing that can now probably go off and process 2 days later. So those businesses are going to go off and get additional cash flow benefits from being able to go off and do their payments through the new platform.
I think they're good considerations, and actually, Anne, I can see you've got yours off.
Yeah, look, I think this is Paul's absolutely correct. Of course, is that the question is, when do you push the button? when do you make the pay? But we're developing a payment service sitting on the NPP right now, and has in it when you want the payment to be made. So it's pretty much an ABA file with a date time that you want to process on the new payments platform, so that from a payroll operator's point of view, they can get everything ready and hit the button and go home and know that it's going to happen at that time on the new payments platform, and that everyone will pay. Because I think, Susie, you were saying the other day, 96% of personal accounts are NPP enabled now. So for payment of wages and salaries, of course, that's brilliant, and it can be timed. And I agree with you that there's often a little bit of leeway of when is the pay ready to actually pay and when do we normally pay. Those are business rules that people will make for themselves. But it will mean a lot higher employee satisfaction. And if I can throw something else in there about the payment of wages and salaries that we heard this week from a client who said that, asked the question, well, if your new payment service, the employee's given you the wrong bank details and it bounces and the money comes back into our account because it's automatically refunded back in, we can't tell who it's for. We've just got the amount from the bank doesn't give us the details we need to identify the employee. And that's one of the things that the new payment platform and everything, you've got a far more control of the details to give back to the employer, so that they can correct that employee's pay. So there are it will be a better service than BEX in this particular environment.
Yeah, not to mention you'll get that response much quicker that it was the incorrect bank account. So